I saw a gelfling crying hard as gelf could cry. What could I do? My gelfling's love had gone and left my body black and blue. Nobody knew what kind of magic spell to use. Slime and snails or puppy dog's tails, thunder and lightning. Then gelfling said, trial by stone. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fluffenhammer. Roll the music.
Life is wasted on the living.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good evening, good night, and welcome once again to the absolute roller coaster of mentality that is the Fluffenhammer. You have joined me here today, but I am not alone. As always, I am Adam. You may know me as Grumpy. You may know me as lots of names. Please don't repeat any of them in public. And with me today is Peter. Hello, Peter.
Hello. Thank you for that wonderful cold open. That was absolutely fantastic.
It's the first and only time I'll ever be allowed to do a Skeksis voice.
Oh, that was you as well. My God, you've got talent. That's fantastic. I love it. You should run an RPG set in Dark Crystal. I'd totally play it.
I ran an RPG years and years and years ago now, and it was a fantasy roleplay. And there was a sequence where a guy looked into a magic mirror, and a Lord of Change was staring back at him. And of course, I had to make it speak like a Skeksis.
Yeah, the Chamberlain voice came ringing out. I'm sure. Yeah,
it really did.
That's all I'll be able to think about when I look at them from now on.
There's nothing quite like the carnivorous chickens that are the Skeksis. But why am I here? Why am I here? Well, I mean, it's a good question. Why are we all here, really, in the grand scheme of things? But why are we here today? Peter here is the originator, the brain behind one of my all-time favorite skirmish games, which is, of course, Necropolis28, a game that me and my brother have played far too much of recently. And I'm not going to say that you've started arguments between us, but let's just say that the constant conversation of blood is better, no, bone is better, no, bone is better, goes on. Neither of us have done Ghosts, I'm afraid.
No, that's good. That's good. The skeletons are the best. It's just so now.
That's where I went for.
There you go. A man of taste, a man of culture and class.
A man of culture, a man of class, a man of bones.
Exactly. I'm glad you've been
playing.
How
are you doing?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, we've been playing quite a lot of it. So I don't really get to see my brother very often. So when we do, we try to get at least a game in. It used to be Frostgrave that we used to play a lot of. Right. But love Frostgrave. Version 2 is just...
Isn't it?
Which is weird. It is. It's weird that neither of us can get on with Stargrave for some reason. Something about Stargrave doesn't work for us.
I'm not giving it a go. I've got the book. I just I'm not time. You know how it is. Frostgrave. I'm terrible. Like most games, but really. Oh, that fills up my heart to hear that you've been playing it though with your precious time with your brother. I hope it's been a positive experience.
Oh, it has. He bought a load of cake trays many months ago. And if we put these cake trays together, he's now got a 4-part diorama that we can play over. And it's a really smart. The way he's built it is you can turn them around and use them in a couple of different versions, different permutations. And it's really nice. And I keep meaning to get some high quality photos of it, and I forget every single time.
Oh, yeah, that's such a cool idea. My friend Ollie from the Discord server had a similar thing. He's got kind of like dark labyrinth. And when we were playing, he was like rolling a dice and then turning one of the sections on the dice roll as well. So it was constantly like rotating each of the board as it went. It was really silly fun. It was brilliant.
It's a really smart idea. I like that.
Yeah, it's good. He's a much cleverer man than me. He's a much cleverer man than me.
Don't tell people that. What you do
I've learned over the years is the best thing to do is smile and nod, and people hardly think that you're more intelligent than you actually are.
Well, I'll have to take that on board. I don't want people to think I am intelligent because they'll expect things from me. That feels terrifying.
At this point in time, what could people expect? You've already delivered a really solid skirmish game. What would people want after that?
God knows. I don't know. I'm not a businessman. That's what I'm doing.
But where did the idea come from for starting up with Necropolis? Because it's got such a wonderfully... It feels like if Fighting Fantasy had gone a very different route in its early days.
Oh, that's a really big compliment,
Yeah, that's how it feels to me. That's how it feels like you get to Necropolis 28. That Fighting Fantasy at some point, I don't know, had a couple of Japanese creatives suddenly working for a little while and they left. And through the years, it's kind of filtered into something like Necropolis 28.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I was sort of, and I've always been playing war games, as most of us have, I'm sure. But I was writing just for my own need to make things. I was writing a choose your own adventure game. Same universe, on a set of cards. I still have it somewhere. I will do something with it. And it was just about depressed skeletons trying to find a way to permanently, because it was just a bit boring to be stuck in this kind of like deathless state for an infinite amount of time. And then having that idea in my head, and working on it for about 6 months, I went for a walk. I think I had a Mordheim campaign coming up with some of my school friends who I was going to visit. And I just basically thought out the basis of the rules on this little walk over about 20 minutes and came back and wrote it down in 2 pages of A4. And it's pretty largely unchanged, to be honest. It came to me on a walk through the woods. There's no great story really there.
So I've found over the years that's when your best thinking happens.
Yeah, agree.
But when I was younger, I used to have a little dictaphone in my pocket that I would always, have with me just in case an idea came to me. And I'd be like, click, blah, 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 unclick. And then by the time I got home again, I would have completely forgotten it. So, what was that idea? Oh, that's right. Yes, it was all about lion people and zeppelins.
That sounds good to me. But I'd hate to think what I would learn about myself should I find recordings on a dictaphone from me 10 years ago and listen back to them. I think that would be an absolutely terrifying thing to do.
I found, a couple of years back, I found 2 things. One was it was a Bible for something which I think was going to be a skirmish game set in a cyberpunk city that had cut off from the rest of the world by vampires.
Oh,
and it is the most 16-year-old thing I think I've ever read. Yeah. It is painfully 16, but I've kept hold of it. I'm going to do something with it down the line. And another one was an RPG game, which I wrote, and I don't remember writing it. But I was going through going, outside of the fact that this is terribly written, this is freaking genius. And I want to go back in time, celebrate myself. Like, well done.
Yeah.
It's the idea was it's an RPG where you start off with no memory and you don't get levels. What you do is you activate flashbacks in order to remember things, in order to get the skills.
Ah, that's nice. I like that.
I've got it all. I've got it all here on my little portable hard drive. So I'm going to be, when I get to that one, that's going to be a big one. I've got 2 books to get done before I get to that one.
I've seen some similar, in that Skeleton Choose Your Own Adventure. You were in a different corpse every time you took a death, and you had a stat called Resonance, where it was your link with that body and that body's memories, which would give you your class. But I've seen some people try effectively RPGs where your class is given to you as you pick up the equipment from corpses and take their memories. I can't remember what that was. I think it was based on Ken. That's going to bother me now. It's on my itch, so I'll go search it out.
That's it. I think we're currently living in a golden time when it comes to RPGs and tabletop gaming, because there's a lot of people out there who are creating a lot of very interesting stuff.
Oh, aren't there? Yeah. Really, it does feel like that, actually. I feel like we've hit the right time.
I mean, you've got anything out there from the big stuff like Blades in the Dark, which is the best RPG game I've ever played in my life.
I've got some friends who've played it, but I've never played it. I've heard nothing but good things.
I can't recommend it enough. It is so good. I mean, Ghost Apocalypse is already a winner. But then you start like getting all the really weird steampunky Dishonored type stuff going on as well.
Yeah, nice. I've been playing Mythic Bastion Land, just really enjoying that. Really enjoying that because I'm very low prep DM as well, and just having buckets of random tables really helps me out.
Mm-hmm. Well, is there anything better than a random table though?
No, I love it. I can't get enough of it. I don't think there's enough of it in war games, personally.
No, I agree.
But yeah, even like character generation and name tables, I feel like are lacking from war games largely as well. There's something Warcry did right actually for my money. Had a kind of a name generator and history generator for your warband that had no mechanical effect. It was just a joy for those who wanted to be involved in that.
Absolutely. And I think as an old man who, far too on the wrong side of 40 on this point.
Yeah, me too.
Who got into Warhammer Fantasy Battle when I was 9 or 10. There is something in my brain that gets really happy when it comes to any form of random table. Whether that be the old Realm of Chaos style is a mutation that you have to roll on, which is always fun.
D100, who doesn't want that?
Yeah. I mean, the best thing at the moment for me is the Great Mutations book that came out, the Frostgrave.
I've not read that.
It's worth reading. One of the most fun I've had by myself in the last couple of years is just sitting with a couple of dice and just rolling a character out of it.
Yeah, there's a real joy in that, isn't there? I like
Randomization is tons of fun.
I think it's because it's a journey. You're not planning, and it's not like, oh, what's optimal? Because you can call yourself as narrative a type of player of any sort of game as you want, but it's very easy to get sucked into, especially when you've got full freedom. What's optimal? What's not? You're rolling on tables. You're just discovering the character or the warband or whatever you're rolling on, and that's a real joy, and it's a very kind of like niche joy, but it's something I enjoy.
I think niche is probably the right word, but I don't care if it's niche or not. If I enjoy it, it's something I'm going to do. Damn it! One of the things we do on the main show with Andy and George is I'll often just pull out something with random tables and we'll create a character to finish up a show.
I love that.
Because it's just so much fun,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they always do that. There's a podcast I really like by the Adventure Archive guys. They review RPGs called The Weekly Scroll. Ryan and Hunter, and they just, whenever they're reviewing an RPG, they'll just be rolling up on the fly, and I get a lot of joy from their joy of rolling up a random person who's going to die in a pit. Fantastic. Shout out to them. They don't know me, but I like this stuff.
Have you ever listened to System Mastering?
No, I haven't.
They're a pair of American guys who are very big on the improv. So they know the ins and outs of improv so well. They once did a Dungeon Crawl X Gamma World crossover RPG where they managed to create the biggest, just absolute piss take of what it's like to be a comedian in the modern day. I can't explain it better than that. But when you have an elder god in a dodgem car called Nylon the Tank, who is trying to do the entire ball of energy exercise, it's one of the things you will come across.
That sounds absolutely wild. I love it.
I'll send you the link to.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
I'm stuck working at home in my loft all day. I have infinite time for podcasts and that form of entertainment. So hook me up.
Right into your veins.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, strap me in.
So where did it begin with you then? Where was the wargaming bug first infecting you?
Oh God, I think I have the same story as most people in their mid-40s. I was born. I think the first game that my parents were always really into board games. My dad's always been really into board games. Mm-hmm. I feel like the first big thing we did was he bought Hero Quest. I don't know, it must be a month after it came out, and we brought it home, and me, him, my mother, and my sister played the whole campaign together. It was absolutely rocket. It was so good. I played Barbarian. Like, 'cause they didn't, we didn't, my dad and my mum refused to turn the television on for 3 years. So we played a lot of board games, which was great. But yeah, and we played a full campaign of Hero Quest, and then obviously loved that. I loved it. He bought Space Crusade, and then he ran that for my friends. And then me and him got into Battle Master. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
The best canon mechanics ever. Look at it. Fantastic hex tile placement. I've got it. I'm literally looking at the box right now. It's here.
Your Battle Masters.
Yeah, man. Don't throw things away. It's important to live like an absolute goblin, surrounded by hordes of crap.
Unfortunately, all of my stuff like that went to charity shops when I moved and went to uni. Came back and those were oh no.
I've got some mid-1980s Citadel Chaos heroes in their original boxes. You just sell them, paint them out. None of it was expensive. I all got it when I was 10. Yeah, and then after Battle Master, I got the Goblins and High Elves Warhammer box set for Christmas. Yeah. And I never looked back from there. I think.
Yeah. Funny enough, that was my first one I bought myself. Was the Fourth Ed Fantasy Battle box set.
That was great. Yeah, Dad played High Elves. I played I've still got a massive Night Goblin army from when I was young, and it's my favorite thing.
Sure. I'm actually at the moment in the process of trying to buy up a lot of the old metal Night Goblins, not to play because I've got a problem, but just to have as little displays on my shelf, just little metal goblins, just from little dioramas, because they're just beautiful sculpts.
They are really good. Well, let's talk. I've got a few lines. I've got quite a lot lying around. Yeah, that game is so special to me. Speaking of random tables, the campaign booklet from that Warhammer box set is the sort of high elf village assault where units activate as turns progress. It's really narrative. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous, wonderful way to play. I think it's lacking a little bit from modern war games, but it's even my own. Yeah.
I think it's one of the weird things in what's happened somewhere in the 2000s is that tournament gaming became a big thing, and narrative gaming got left behind for reasons I don't quite understand.
Yeah,
I think it's picked back up now. Age of Sigmar, I think, is a very narrative game, but doesn't really do great on the tournament scene because it is such a narrative game.
And I like it as well. I play that, and it's I get a lot of joy from that. I agree with you. I guess it's easier to do cut game at the club with a good set match play rules, right? I think that's what it is. Yeah, quite hard to meet a random person you don't know on like a War Games club night and then form a story together. That's, I imagine, I'm talking like I've got lots of experience, but that's quite difficult.
I normally do when we're setting up is just go, right, so what's happening? What's the reason? What are we doing here? What does this do? What's this piece of scenery? And just trying to get my opponent to think about it in a narrative way. So if you can start it off thinking about something in a narrative way, you can play a narrative game.
Yeah,
and a narrative game is my bread and butter. It always has been.
Yeah, same. Sometimes because I like to have an excuse for losing. I can make terrible tactical choices that the commander definitely would make.
General is completely drunk. That's why.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but after that, I think me and my friend Peter, went halves on Mordheim the day it came out, and never really looked back from there. I think that wounded my heart in the best possible way.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't look away from it.
Mordheim is a really weird one because it's felt for years like it's the pinnacle of what Games Workshop were able to do, both in rules and in setting and in miniature creation. And then they decided to not ever try and chase it again. And they always did something different with a different area rather than recreate it.
Yeah. I mean, Inquisitor was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of charity shop books, my mother charity shop that book. That's the worst. That's a great game. It's okay, but that I've been toying with the idea of buying it back, but then I had bills. I need to pay it, as do we all. But yeah, that was a wonderful thing as well. Like, that was a real experiment. I think that had a big, profound effect on me. I think I was in college at that point.
I know that Inquisitor came out just as I was leaving the hobby for the first time, I think.
Yeah, I've never left the hobby. So that just, everyone's like, oh, they discovered, significant others and other life things. No. I discovered those things, but I was still a massive nerd the whole thing.
No, my money kind of started going onto comics and like Japanese action figures and stuff like that. That's what happened. And then I got heavily back into Transformers, and that ended up being a massive thing that led me to all sorts of interesting experiences throughout my life. And then kind of came back again and just went, I wonder what's happening in Warhammer. Oh, there's a new game, and the old world just blew up. What?
Oh, was that when you came back? Wow, what a time to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Was that 2015?
Yeah. I came back just as the old world exploded. It was, well, I wasn't expecting that. But then, yeah. And then AOS dropped, and it was like, well, this game's just mental. I love this.
I was excited about it as well. I know that might be quite divisive, but I was excited about it mainly because speaking of the Hero Quest, really like a barbarian. Those big beefy corn dudes. I was into it. I've got them. I've got a full corn army now, and I love it. Don't do the demons. Just do the Conans.
That's the thing. When in the history of Warhammer Fantasy Battle did you care about the humans, so to speak? And AOS, I care more about actually having a human army. I've not considered a Sigmar army or, the Bloodbound, because the Bloodbound are great.
Yeah, I think Khorne's more nuanced than people. I'll die on this hill. I think Khorne's more nuanced than people give it credit for. There was a wonderful short story. I cannot remember what the name of it was, where it was following a kind of like slaughter priest and champion of Khorne, whatever they call it, descending into some sort of pit together. And the whole thing is like a philosophical religious argument between them both. And they erase out the other side changed. Oh, brilliant. I was like, Zinchenko. This is nice, honest fun. Terrible.
The Gore Chosen.
Yes. Is that? I think it might even be just called Gore Chosen. Do you know the story? I think it was
going down into the Scorch
Pit. Yeah. There you go. That's the good. It's good. Everyone read that. It's brilliant. I can't remember.
I couldn't tell you who wrote it. I'm creeping my memory as it is trying to get that far.
You're the first person I've ever met who's known what it was.
I keep saying I've got a problem, and this is part of the problem. I read voraciously.
Yeah, it's Andy Clark. It's Andy Clark. There you go.
Andy Clark. Yeah, he's a good lad.
Friend of the show. Yeah.
He does great work. I've spoken to him a couple of times on Blue Sky. I don't think he knows who I am, and I don't think he knows that I know who he is. So, very strange experience.
Yeah, I'm sure it's must be quite a weird thing to be like a celebrity within the hobby. I can't imagine what it's like. What is that like? You're a celebrity. I'm sorry.
I'm just the guy that's over here, just archiving recordings constantly.
That sounds quite nice. It's a calling.
It is, yeah. I much prefer the idea of calling it archiving conversation than podcast.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
Spend my day archiving people's conversations. Not a creep. In a nice way, there's full consent.
Soon for that. But yeah, that's been my journey through the hobby, really. Came to niche war games just before COVID, like Turnip, really into that. Met most of my current cool, artsy cool hobby friends through Turnip, actually. By just meeting random men from the internet, which, I'm privileged enough to say that was a great part, that was a great thing for me to do. And I loved it. I'm very lucky.
I feel that there should be a t-shirt that just says, I meet random men from the internet.
Yeah, well, it's worked out for me. Like, me and Ben, Apocrypha now, yeah, just messaged. They're about to turn it, and he turns out he's 30 minutes away from me. Came over to my house. We promised not to kill each other. Been friends ever since.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it turns out, Mangling Minis as well. He's a celeb. You're a celeb.
Oh yeah.
That's for him. Yeah, and he's like, 20 minutes up the road. And it just turns out that all these wonderful people are part of my little gaming circle now, and I've just been absolutely blessed with it. It's been great. It's so prolific with their creating, I cannot keep up. So I don't know how to. But,
Max's stuff with Turnip, I don't understand how the hell he manages to do that amount of stuff into it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, neither do I. He's a genius. He's an artiste. He's a genius, and also a lovely dude.
Yes, he's somebody I do want to get on the show at some point. But
so you can harass him. You listening, Max? Max, come on the show. He'd come. I'm sure he would.
You're lovely. You consider many, your breadcrumbs. Wait, is that creepy? I'm not creepy.
Yeah, I think actually, a lot of the because adore Turnip. I think it's a wonderful game, wonderful world, wonderful system. I think seeing what Max had done with it really made me think I can do this, as in I can do this better. I definitely don't. But just, when you see something done that's possible by a regular person, and you just think, oh, actually, why, I could set up a Discord server. I could have a Word document with no art in it.
Yeah, that's how it starts.
You just went for it, That's just yeah.
Absolutely. It's one of the good things about the internet is that you can get your stuff out there now.
Yeah.
Even 10 years ago, it was a lot harder to do.
Wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that's why, like you said, it's a golden age.
Yeah. Especially as people have swung back to wanting to have tabletop stuff. If you can do tabletop stuff a lot cheaper than going in and getting D&D or going and getting a Warhammer collection, people are going to jump for it. Especially, people of our vintage who have very little spare time and even less cash flow due to children.
Yeah, that'll do it, won't it? Yeah, that's part of the thing, right? Like, a lot of these games you can play with very little, which is amazing. The Wield is a fantastic game. Mm-hmm. You can honestly make some Gnarl, the kind of horrific tree creatures from beyond the void. You can make them with twigs if you want. That's all right. It's brilliant. It's really accessible. Fantastic game as well. Yeah,
it's one I haven't actually played, but I do have a copy, a PDF of it that I need to. The ones that would get me is when you have stuff like I've forgotten the poor guy's name, and I feel really bad for it. He wrote an Inquisimunder game to go with the miniatures he made. I was going to say hassle-free, but I know that's wrong. And I'm not going to look it up now because otherwise we'll just be here for ages as I try to desperately dig myself out of this memory hole that I've put myself into. He goes to Boyle every year and runs the Hell's Reach game using the rule set that he made. And that thing is absolutely brilliant.
Hell's Reach, that's going to bother me.
Yeah, it's going to annoy the hell out of me.
It'll come back to us in half an hour's time.
Yes, I'm thinking about something else entirely. Have you been down to bring out your lead yet?
I've not. Really want to. I feel like one of my friends went last year, enjoyed it. I should have done it. I just didn't have the time. Yeah. Wait, was it Curtis?
Curtis Fell. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. The moment you said Curtis, it sprang into my brain. Yes.
Also, someone who makes wonderful things. Everyone's so cool, aren't they? It's crazy.
And he's made an Inquisimunder rulebook, and it is gloriously great.
I need to check it out.
Yeah. It's something I would love to run a weekender using. Yeah, just having a group of people turn up with 30 tables with a full city that you have to work your way through.
Oh my god, that'd be so good. That'd be so
it's
good.
my ambition in life. Yeah. Just 30 tables, have a city on all of the tables. You can move around the tables as much as you want. And the idea is you have to get to the middle. That is my perfect weekend game.
Sounds amazing. How would you even run something so like... You'd need the right people to play, wouldn't you? You need the right people to kind of embody their narrative.
But I think...
Oh, yeah. Well, if you have some ideas about how it can be done, tell me and I will rip you off. I'd love to know how you can do that.
I will just keep a little text document over to one side here. It's like, you can have it, but it'll cost you.
That's fine. That's fine. No, yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I run a couple of gaming events at this point in my life, and it's hard to find how much narrative people want, because I want. I want it in your best DM voice as well. Like, I want all that stuff. But it's hard to know how much people are invested in the story if they just want to roll dice and have a cup of tea, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard balance.
It is. And I think over the years, what I've found is that if you give somebody the threads of a narrative, they will either run with it or they will engage with it just enough to get into the game. It's up to the player how much they want to get in or how much they want to get out of it. But if you lay those threads down, that's enough for anybody.
Yeah, definitely. You have to give people enough of a picture of what the world you're trying to make for them to have a kind of control of the narrative space within that framework, maybe? I don't know. Am I talking correct?
No, that makes perfect sense to me. Writing these things that I'm writing at the moment, the biggest thing that I keep hitting is I'm going to pull that back because that's too much. Because you can go way too much into the weeds, into describing and explaining things. You want to give just enough.
Yeah.
Unless you're writing an actual narrative book, then that's different. But,
yeah, I'm of the same mind. Definitely. I think that's right. You know, you need to give, because if you do that, it gives the people who want it enough to make up these big stories that are amazing. But it gives, it gives just enough grounding to the people who don't care, who just want to play. That's definitely something I've been trying to do with Necropolis. I know that people have been asking me for more lore, and I keep a master lore document for myself. I kind of like try to keep it quite not vague, as in like annoyingly vague, but quite definite about how the world works. I think, but not to give people like specific political setup or really detailed histories, or why the world is the way it is, like exactly from a kind of like reliable narrator's standpoint. I don't think that's good in its own way, but I don't think it gives the space for people to tell their own stories within the universe,
It's what I call the 3 seashell. But the film Demolition Man had 3 seashells in a toilet. For explained it was just mentioned. Didn't need to be explained. It was just that's how things happen. You don't need to explain how it happened. It's just that's the way it happened. Probably a better way of putting it would be the Horus Heresy. The Horus Heresy was best when it was 2 pages.
I've never read it.
I know.
I'm so sorry.
That's fine. Okay. I don't blame you at all. It's ridiculously large. Yeah, the Horus Heresy, when it was those 2 pages written by Bill King, was more evocative than any of the 30-odd books that came out that explained it in detail. They didn't need to be there.
That's fun.
I think to me, the best fiction and the best settings and the best world building is when you have enough to then run off and create the missing parts in your own brain, because you've got the tools to do it, the tools are presented, and you do the rest yourself. Inside your own head, you create whatever it is, and all right, okay, so that character is over there doing that. But I think that he has probably met him before because they're wearing the same kind of armor. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I mean, I guess like Mordheim is a great example of that, right? There is an overarching, very specific story that you can find on the Mordheim Facebook because Thomas put it on. He's written, he knows what the backstory is. The book doesn't give you it flat out like that. And it's the better for it, I think. Like, they knew that was the thing. I'm not going to go into it now because I don't want to spoil Mordheim having a really specific story for anyone. But
spoiler alert for Mordheim.
Spoiler alert! Everyone will be on that Facebook looking for that post. And I think it's better. I love the story. Don't get me wrong. I read it because I couldn't not. But like, I think it's better without it. Like, it has that. I love the mystery. I love not knowing. I love it. It grounds you in the world as if you're in it, rather than a bird's eye view. You know.
I agree. I mean, it's why AOS got better when they decided to get down in the street level again. Yeah, AOS when it came out, when it was all the gods and what they're up to. As much as I loved AOS, it didn't get good until the second edition when they got it down to street level. And here's what you see from that viewpoint.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing. You know, speaking of AOS, I did think that some of those original battle terms as well, they had, speaking of the three seashells, they would refer to a battle by name, by place. Where is that? What happened there? Why were these guys, there's so much like open space and just naming a place and naming an event. And you're like, what is that? So it sparks the imagination. And they filled in that part now, I'm sure, but
not as much as you'd think. I mean, after all, there's still Fluffenhammer Island that's been mentioned multiple times at this point, and they've never gone into detail what's on Fluffenhammer Island.
When they were teasing Cruel Boy, I thought they were back. I thought they were like, here it is from the swamps, in the mists, and I was like, oh my god, the one-eyed boys, they're coming. they're back, boy. I was really excited. And I love it.
When they got announced as being skinny orcs, I was furious. I was so angry. It was like,
I like the models as well. I mean, I like I like the models as well. I was disappointed that it wasn't my boys. You know, the Hero Quest model with that double-bladed axe above his head, the little clubby tail. I know that the backstory is rough, but like I'm sure they could clean that up for.
They did. Forge World cleaned it up a couple of years back.
Nice minions as well. They were good stuff.
One of the worst bloody things that ever happened to me. Actually, that's not true, but hobby-wise, one of the most annoying things that ever happened to me was I went to Warhammer World for the first time in 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. I'd never been before. Finally got to it. I bought all the Fluffenhammer stuff they had. So they had 6 packs of Fluffenhammer warriors, and they had 1 Fluffenhammer leader, the Fimmerak, right? Mm-hmm. On the train back the next day was the announcement that they'd been discontinued. And I was like, I don't have enough here to make an army. I will never now own enough to make an army. You bastards.
You still got them?
No. I did a charity drive a couple of years back and they went into that.
That's a shame. I was going to say, I mean, that's great. I'm glad that they went to charity. Well, I was just like, I'll give you a game. Just make a point cost. I'll play that. Just to be excited to play them.
Well, I then used, I sculpted some Fimir heads and turned all the Cruel Boys into Fimir for my own personal amusement.
Nice. I feel like I've seen this. Have I seen this online? I feel like I've seen it.
Probably. I did take a lot of photos of them.
Mm.
But yeah, they were really cool. And then I decided that I had to get rid of them because they were taking up space. I think I sold them and bought my son's birthday present with it.
Well, that's a good trade. Yeah, sell them to me next time. I can't afford that, but sell them to me.
Honestly, the amount of stuff that I've made over the years that I've just gone, well, I've finished that project and I've made it now. What can I do next? Well, that's going to be an expensive project. I best sell the last one to be able to fund it.
Oh, that's a big part of the hobby, isn't it? I mean, I don't sell a lot, but I'm approaching there now. Yeah. I have an excuse to make an endless amount of skeletons that sort of flies in my house, you know. But still.
I think the creative side of the hobby is probably one of my favorite parts of it. You know, where you just kind of create. You come up with an idea and you create.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I think for me, like, I'm not at kit bashing wild stuff. Like, I'm not very good at it. I just don't. I'm not wacky. It's like playing a lot of turnip. You know, I've got the most vanilla looking turnip army. Like, it's all conversions from all like the Perry miniatures stuff, which is amazing, so good. They're French fencing infantry, fantastic. But it's not. I'm not very good at like wild conversions, like a head swap and a splice and all that sort of stuff. But I do like making terrain. I just can't get enough of making terrain. something about building like a big doll's house to play with your skeletons in is just absolutely fantastic. Really love that. Really gone down the whole of plaster casts, like plaster cast kits at the moment.
All right.
Like a lot of my terrain. I mean, there's a largely inactive Instagram account that I have. Most of my terrain recently has been plaster cast molds from Rotten Factory. You know that guy? Is it?
Yes.
His real name? Pavel? Yeah, did this.
I know that. I know the kits.
Yeah, great stuff. Just makes amazing stuff. Brilliant sculptor. Yeah, I got his silicon molds to make plaster casts with, and it's basically just having Lego that you can glue together.
Mm-hmm.
And for Necropolis is you make these 16. Well, the idea is the play space is 16 by 16. What you want, do whatever's cheapest, right? But I like to make these little dioramas to play on because I like it to play a lot. Part of the hobby I can take my time on. Doing these plaster cast molds, I do them in dental plaster, and like a board, wood aside, cost me about £9. Whole terrain bit. Yeah. Yeah, it's changed my life. Thank you, Rotten Factory. It's absolutely changed my life.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Not that value is everything, right? But, you know.
Yeah, but, you know, if you can make something for less than a tenner, you're going to be able to make more of it, and making more of it is automatically more fun.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, the actual process of casting, you know, bricks and blocks and walls is really enjoyable as well. Like, I really like it. Like, I don't measure out my ingredients very well. I eyeball it, so sometimes it goes wrong, sometimes it goes right. It feels like alchemy. It's fun, you know?
I did consider the idea a couple of years back of having little tiny plastic bricks. So you could buy a bag of 500 bricks, and then you buy like the window and the door and, you know, all that type of stuff. And then I realized what I'd done is I'd recreated Lego in 28 millimeter scale.
I'm into it. I'm into it. That sounds great.
This is a great idea, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you ever seen fucking just like shouting out with the creators, but like that's what it's about, right? Like, there's a guy, Fogoon Models, guy down in Cornwall. I presume, given the name. He makes resin terrain, like the heaviest resin terrain in the world, like Jesmonite resin. Is it Jesmonite? I feel like you could defend yourself with it anyway. It's really cool. I know that he physically builds each model, then casts it. Like each individual block, he builds the terrain pieces that he sells, then casts it. It's a wild way to do it. It's just like properly working with Lego and natural materials to build these amazing kind of like. It's inspiring. Like, I'd love to be on that level.
Absolutely, there's something about that level of commitment to the art of creating that absolutely blows my mind. I'm always here for it.
I like just doing it physically as well. It's just, I wouldn't say it's rare these days, but you know, it's rarer. It's cooler. Like, I love 3D printed stuff. Don't get me wrong, but like, it blows my mind when people are like building with their hands.
I've got a 3D printer. It gets used fairly irregularly, for the most part, because I am such a lover of balsa wood and green stuff and metal put, and using all of that stuff to make what I'm trying to make.
Yeah, definitely.
Give me 30 dwarfs that I've now got to sculpt quilted flak jackets onto, and I'm a happy man.
Oh, you're a better man than me. That would kill me. I've got no physical sculpting skills at all. I think I did a few like neckerchiefs on some Necromunda guys years ago, but that's as far as I've come.
What was the theme?
I was making a navigator, kind of like navigator guild strike force. It just ended up like looking like scouts, like literally like, you know, Boy Scouts. I don't know what I was thinking. I'll have to send you a picture. I quite like them, but yeah, it was fun.
I just thought the idea of do in the depths of Necromunda.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
yeah,
rubbing sticks together to make fires. There's no sticks, but I'm sure there's lots of fires.
Just rubbing fire against each other to make sticks.
Exactly. Yeah,
sure. I mean, did you play much of like original Necromunda, or is it the later version you're playing?
Yeah, I played the original Necromunda. I had a scabby gang. Lord. I actually had to sell. I couldn't find all of it, and I was going through a bit of a storage crisis, so I sold the metal scavies that I did have, which I feel sad about. But I wasn't. If I was honest with myself, I wasn't going to paint them properly again. Couldn't find the time, and yeah, loved it. It was great. It was a wild game as well. Like that was like some wacky tables and stuff. This one was.
Gang, that's what I'm after. And the Delac gang. But I painted them all with the skin of a Gene Stealer cult.
Oh yeah, that's quite common, isn't it? They're all balls.
When I finally got on the internet in like the early 2000s, it's like look at other people's Delac, like every single person has done exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Come up with half.
Yeah, I think it was pretty common, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, I have a Delac gang now, a new one. I didn't Gene Stealer for them. Maybe because of that. Yeah.
I've got a Goliath, post-Goliath gang called the Vertebreakers, and they've all got Bane masks from Batman. And so whenever they've gone to the board, it's always just been, I see you've decided to enter the Goliath. Prepare for each pain. Possibly strawberry.
I'm into it, man.
There's something about putting your opponent off with a collection of silly voices.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've always said, like, the only thing I'd want from, like, skirmish games especially is to, like, bad habit of just always going for my opponent's leader, no matter what game it is. I'm just like, here's the vendetta. I'm coming for you, But I think one of the joys is learning their name, learning their personality, and then just playing to that, And having a whole kind of, like, gang voice is a beautiful part of it.
No, absolutely. It's the same with any kind of skirmish game. I mean, my Frostgrave, various Frostgrave forces, they all have a story and a backstory. And my Chrono Wizard, he's now just covered in clocks from every time he's failed some kind of spell. I just add another tiny clock to him. It's just like somebody's just going, will you learn what your trainer do?
He's more man than clock, and more clock than man now. So.
He is more TikTok than human. I mean,
it shocked me to learn that I always wear necromancy.
No, it doesn't shock me at all. Necromancers are great. The Chronomancers are great. What? Do I have any others? It's just those two. I'm sure I had some form of Shaman at some point as well. It kind of using the knolls from we bought them at Warlord, but it's not Warlord. It makes them
Sigless is pretty cool. It's a great game.
It is, and it ties into a lot of what we've been talking about. The narrative of wargaming is one of the most important parts to me of the hobby. In the same way that I'll turn a film off if the story doesn't interest me. If I'm playing a game and it's just a point struggle, I lose interest very, very fast. I want the narrative. I want there to be a reason why. But my Orc Shaman from my Iron Jaws, he keeps casting Foot of Gork, and every time he's killed an enemy leader, I paint another foot onto its cloak. That's the type of stuff that really fuels me for the hobby. I like.
Yeah. My aforementioned Night Goblin army, I've got this, got a big boss on like a great swig, the big old metal models, called Thumper. And he always, because my two main opponents are Dwarves and Empire, right? So basically his entire job is to just charge at cannons full bore. Just take them out. And you know what? You wouldn't think so, but half the time he makes it. He's an absolute legend. He's got a bit of a rep, I love that. I love that because that story's been going on 20 years among my mates. I think it's brilliant.
That's really cool. That's awesome, and the fact it's gone on for that length of time, it does create a little legend, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? I said 20 years. Actually, we've been playing since we've been 11. That game, so actually, over 30 years.
Yeah.
My God, what am I doing with my life? Having fun is what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go to work and pay the bills, but then the rest of the time try and do something that could be insane.
Yeah, fun and enjoy. It's good. It's a good thing. Sorry, I took us way off topic yet again, didn't
Right? It's famous for it. Don't worry about it. But I will ask you then, so just in case people don't know, what is Necropolis28? We haven't really got into the nitty-gritty of what it actually is.
Yeah, so, God, give this thing a hard sell. Although it's free. Yeah, so it's a skirmish war game. Everyone's got one in them, I'm sure. But the conceit is it's fantasy world where all life has ended. Like, no plants, no animals, no people. It's been gone for indeterminate amount of time. Only the undead remain, collected in this place called the Endless City, named for its endurance, not for its size. And yeah, the kind of interactions between various gatherings / war bands of undead in that place. Death in that universe, in this universe, undeath is a one-way street as well. So once you are resurrected, brought back from the dead, resummoned, whatever, you're stuck, basically. So if you don't have a lich or someone with some sort of sorcerer's powers to maintain your physical or ethereal form, you will just waste away into sentient dust. Yeah, that's the central conceit, really. Whole withering away, your undead body being immortal, you're kind of stuck in it no matter what happens to it. As someone did point out, it's very similar to a film called Death Becomes Her. You ever seen that?
Yes.
So it kind of works like that. You know, at the end of it, they're kind of falling apart and they're just kind of heads on the ground, shouting, being unhappy. And I was like, damn, it is really like that.
I feel like I need a Bruce Willis zombie now.
Yeah. It was a good one. It's Goldie Hawn and someone else, isn't it? What's her name? I can see her face. But yeah, so that's the central conceit of the universe, is that undeath is inescapable. So you have to align yourself with people who have power and have, become a lich and escape death. And they're terrible people. They're awful. So you kind of like, yeah, I think I'm probably making a commentary about healthcare and that it should be free, really. as the way that they, you have to align yourself with terrible people, pay a price to basically maintain yourself over the centuries.
That's actually a really interesting way of looking at it that I hadn't considered.
Yeah. I think I've done some fairly unique things with the mechanics of it. No dice roll in the game, and as you know, I'm teaching you how to suck eggs, but no dice roll ever fails. So if you attack someone, you roll your attack dice, and they either hit and do a large amount of damage, or they glance and do a small amount of damage. Armor comes off that total, but it always does at least one. So every action you take in the game, whether it's spellcasting or attacking or whatever, something always happens. You never you never do something and then nothing. That's the central thing I had in my mind. I don't want it to waste my time. I think as a dad, someone who doesn't get to game very often, and someone who's played Night Goblins for years, I'm just sick of missing. I'm sick of failing. I've never seen that before either. So, yeah, that was a really core tenet of it, that you never have your turn and you're just like, oh, actually, nothing happened. I did an aim shoot and nothing happened. I tried to climb a wall for 4 turns in a row and the dice just said I have to just do nothing with my game, That's an experience which I also enjoy, don't get me wrong, but it's not an experience I want for this,
No, it can be dispiriting to fail constantly just purely out of bad dice.
Yes, well, exactly. I played a skirmish game the other week and I had an absolute blast. But one of the guys that I had in my little war band tried to climb a wall for 5 turns out of the 6. And I was just like, So that's a vibe. I'm not very good at climbing. It's realistic. But yeah, you don't want realistic in your universe of zombies and skeletons, do you?
No, well, you don't want to. You don't really want to have nothing but realism on the board. You want to have stories. You want to have big swinging heroes, and wonderful risks that have either glory that'll take you up to the very top of the heights, or crushing defeat that'll bring you right down.
Yeah, I mean, another way I sought to mitigate that, like campaign structure, as it is at the moment, subject to change, endlessly tinkering, is like you can choose your own side objectives. Like they call them ambitions. I call them ambitions, like side objectives. So we've all played skirmish games where you go in and you try to achieve the objective, and on turn one, you're probably like, this guy can fly. I can't reach the highest bit of the board and beat him to it. But you've got 4 side objectives to do, which is, you don't get experience points in the game. You just fulfill your side objective, and that gives you bonuses. That gives you your bonuses for your dudes. So you fulfill these ambitions, which is just, spend all your mana, knock people off, or smash dudes, strike down the rivals, I think it's called. Fulfill that, get a weapon skill increase, get a violence increase. It just, again, mitigates that sort of feels bad. It just make it a really soft, a really soft war game for people who like to get a success, really, is what I've sort of done.
What I found from playing it myself is it's a game with momentum, because there's no point where you fail and you have to slow down and reconsider what it is you're trying to do, because you have that momentum that carries on through it. You reach the end and go, oh, how was an hour passed? How was 90 minutes passed? It's
Oh, that's nice to hear. Thank you. It's far too kind. But yeah, definitely. I think when I was on that walk for 20 minutes, thinking of the rules in my head, there's lots of games where you have 2 actions, right? Standard.
Yes.
And you walk over to someone, you get 1 hit. You don't kill them, and they get 2 attacks. That sort of thing. I really wanted to mitigate that with the failing. But also, when you hit people in the game, you can push them an inch in any direction, meaning they can't double attack you. So, from a design point, I wanted charging someone aggressively to nearly always be the right choice. The fact that when people die, you can just summon them back, just straight back on the board, as long as you don't put your leader in a terrible position, which I do constantly. You can make stupid, hilarious choices. You can throw people off bridges. You can jump on them, do big damage. You can do all that silly stuff, and it largely doesn't matter mechanically or in universe because you're in this for the long haul. It's fun. So it's skeleton pro wrestling. That's what I've accidentally made.
Oh, yeah. Now, Macho Bones Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I met your father indeed, met you, so you won't cry like a little girl.
Taking
God.
back.
You've given me an idea now. Just the idea of skeletons wearing lycra and it's awesome.
Give it some big impression. My 3-year-old daughter is asleep in the next room, so I'm not going to give it. Not going to give it a big woo. But yeah, I think skeleton pro wrestling is quite accurate, honestly. Yeah, that's the long and short of it. Small board, small play space. God, warband between 1 and 6 guys. Just.
Oh, me and my brother even played a game where it was just the leaders had a lich and he had a. Can't remember now. Just to see what it would be like as a one-on-one game, and it was quick, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. There's a boss monster leader type, the Ascendant Undead. We name subject to change. That's sort of meant to play like a Dark Souls boss monster, but you need a whole warband to fight it, and it's very swingy. But it's kind of cool. It's interesting. You got to try new things, haven't you? Yeah. Everyone's writing their own little skirmish games, so it's lovely.
The one that I apologise, my memory tonight is absolutely awful. The great big tall skeleton that's dragging a 2-acted weapon behind him. He's called I want to say aberrant, but that's not right.
The aberrant's sort of a big minion, sort of biggish minion.
Yeah. Maybe it is.
Maybe it is.
But he has been my MVP multiple times now. Just for whatever reason, being able to just walk into, a crowd in absolutely clear house.
Oh, is that one of the minis that we've got for the thing?
Yeah, I got it from your Patreon.
Oh, no way. Yeah, the guy with the axe. Yeah, the aberrant. Yeah. Yeah, it's an aberrant, yeah.
I'm sure I had the name wrong. It's just my brain playing tricks on me. Damn brain.
Not consistent with anything. Yeah. The design by Martin McCoy, sculpted by Blight Bones. Shout out to them. They're amazing human being, an artist as well. Like, couldn't do it without.
the minute
That's good.
you put out alongside of it, glorious.
Oh yeah, so cool, aren't they?
The little sculpture candle wall. Love him.
Oh, aren't they cute? It's the little guy. I mean, this is all Martin's design as well. Like, I tend to be quite not very definite with my kind of like artistic briefs. And I mean, I think I've sent him a list of 18 pieces of art to do. She's going to bankrupt me. But I love it. I'm going to do it anyway. But yeah, with the miniature designs, I was just like, just go nuts. Like, it's going to be fine. Just like do your things. And just, I think having that tiny little skeleton dude with a little orb and the little candle spiders just adds a little bit of, I don't know. I feel like they're my little candle spiders are my own in-universe version of a servo skull, you know?
Yeah.
They feel like a little mascot to me. It's wild to have it. Love it. So lucky.
I put the candle spiders on the same base as my that was the skeletons. So, like they're just following the skeletons around, like they're getting fed treats or something. And in my brain, the story that I've got is that these things just kind of wander around behind, just going, "You give me flesh now."
I love it.
I can have flesh now.
I think on Martin's original notes, he was like they were made to just be walking desk lamps. Like that was their purpose, is just to light up when he's reading his kind of like grimoire, you know, it's stuck in his lair. That's where you just like, God, I need a lamp, you know, I'm going to make something, I'm like a minion. It's just going to wander around and be a movable light source. I like that sort of like frivolousness with resurrecting someone's soul with to a skeleton. It's a feel very grim in universe, you know?
It's beautifully. It's the right amount of silly and the right amount of grim to be just great.
There's a joining point there. Yeah, he's a genius. He's fantastic. What an amazing thing. Need to make more. Well,
that's just the ongoing thing, though, isn't it? It's always going to be more.
Yeah. I mean, it feels wild having a 5 minis, but like 6 minis, including the one that Hannah did for us, which is fantastic as well. Just having a really small line of minis. Obviously, you can play Necropolis. Everyone's got skeletons in their cupboard. Just like, who doesn't own a few zombie miniatures? You know, get them out and play with them. That's the joy. But just having, when I finally got them all, I was just like, God, I can play my own game with my own minis. Like it just feels like a bit of a kind of like life goal, like ticked off there. I can just die a bit easier.
I can imagine it was a very strange, very beautiful moment to be able to just go, this is my game. These are my minis. I'm playing this. This is incredible.
Yeah, it's not, it's struggle to sink in. It's very humbling. Like, obviously, the servers, the Discord server on Necropolis is pretty big. Like, it's like 3,000 people. And, you know, everyone's really lovely as well. Like, I know that Discords get to a certain size and sometimes they can get really weird, can't they? Like, everyone's really nice. Everyone's really polite. Making cool stuff. Really enthusiastic. It's really positive kind of atmosphere. I just feel really lucky, you know. I know I'm not like successful, but because people are playing it, which is wild. You know? We made a special celebration cake when we hit 100 people on the server. Yeah, it's just
it's awesome. I've been kind of hanging around in the server. I'm yet to actually post and do anything in it. Mostly just down to time. If I'm not doing real life stuff, I'm doing Fluffenhammer stuff. And
I know how it is, don't worry. I'm in like 30 servers and I think I'm talking about 5.
I think I've got 2 that I do stuff in on a regular basis. And one of them is purely because if I didn't, people would start wondering where I was. Okay. But have you got nothing ingrained that you want to do with Necropolis, whether it's certain type of mini that you desperately want to have in your hand, or
you know, it's difficult, right? Because it's not difficult. It's super easy. I'm just doing it for fun. It's not my job. I'm just blown away that people are playing the damn thing. That just still breaks my brain out. I think as a sort of like long-term, well, my goal, I'm commissioning all this art, is to have a physical book. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I've got in my sights. I want a physical book. You know, Alexander from 28 Mags is doing a bit of layout for me. Thief from the Wheel is looking to do my editing because my English is terrible. And a physical kind of 8.5 my back. Triple ribbon. Like, a rule book would be fantastic for me. That's all I want. So I can put it on my shelf and I can be like, look, I've got a rule book. I've got a small line of miniatures, you know.
It's... I mean, having a book with your name on it is one of the strangest experiences.
Yeah, I bet it is. I mean, be pretty normal for you, right? But like, it's a big deal for me.
I'm working on my second one now. My first one came out beginning of this year, which is a picture of... The way I've described it to people is it's half an art book, half a collection of poetry and short stories, half a history of how I've got to this point, and half a game of Find the Pig, because I've hit pigs throughout the book for people to find.
That sounds like a glorious mix, though.
It sold surprisingly well. I was kind of shocked. But the entire idea of it was I needed to learn how to make a book. So instead of doing one of the big things I want to do, I'm just going to make this art book and just put all my work into it and just go, let's see what happens here. And I learned a lot from it. And now I look at it and go, I'm so happy it's there. I want to go back and remake all of that book because now I know all the bits I did wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I'll be there as well. Like, I think, I need to stop tinkering with the rules. The rules are always, for Necropolis, like I say, it's like long-term goals. Like, the rules are always going to be free. That's really important to me. I know it's not the model that everyone wants to go through, but like, it's not what everyone wants to do. Personally, for me, I feel like war games are expensive enough. I don't want to be charging people for a PDF, although, you know, definitely do that. You know, get your worth. If you're making stuff and it's costing you money, obviously charge for it. But I don't want to charge for the digital version because I just want people to play it, and they are. So I'm working for the moment, and people can. I mean, don't give me Patreon if you don't want to, because I'm going to do it anyway. It all helps, and I'm so thankful for it. Yeah.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. The need to create it has a tendency to override the idea of actually making money to live on. It's a stick that many of us have.
It's just So physical book. I've got a full solo rules thing that I'm working on. Because that's the main way I get to play is solo co-op. Holds up quite well. It's very I won't talk about it, but like it's if anyone wants to test it, message me. come and help me break it. But yeah, I don't know from there. Everyone's got like 20 work in progress games in their work in progress folder, haven't they? I
have. Only 20.
Yeah, well, exactly that. You know, I don't want to be. I just want to focus down this one target, and that's the real challenge for a lot of people. I think is just finishing stuff is hard, man. Making stuff to 90% is really easy.
Yeah, getting it over the line and accepting that I could keep fiddling with this, but if I do, it'll never get released. Yeah, and that's why. I think this next editing and layout pass will be the kind of 0.99 version before I try and get it printed, hopefully in 2025. Don't know how I want to do that. I think in my head I'd rather just get loads of hardback books printed and put them under the bed in my spare room and then sell them to people myself instead of doing that whole Kickstarter thing. I don't know how I feel about that. No, I refuse point trying to do a Kickstarter.
It just feels like a lot of work, eh? It feels like a lot of work for me. It feels like I don't want no Kickstarter exclusives and all this promo. I just want people to have it, you know? Just, if they want it, like, I just want people to have it.
Really get that. I feel that Kickstarter is a lot of work for very little gain.
Yeah.
I've looked at it a couple of times. I've looked at crowdfunding and how it all kind of works out. And there are people out there who have the mentality to make that work. And I take my hat off to them. I really do. But I know myself, I would not be able to make a good campaign. I wouldn't be able to do anything. I wouldn't be able to keep with it enough every day of the week to make it worthwhile for other people. And when people see doing that, they kind of lose faith and it doesn't work out.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, people can do it. I'm sure it's a good business move. I mean, Trench Crusade, you fly over like £1 million they are at the minute. But then they've also got a full art team of some of the most amazing creators and artists in the business, you know? And that's not me. I'm just a guy who works in healthcare in his loft, you know? Yeah.
I'm a guy who works in mental health during the night and then spends his days trying desperately to make some of this stuff work. It's
it's tough, isn't it? You know, it's not tough. It's great. What a hobby to have. But yeah,
I know what you mean though. It's trying to find the time in the day is really hard. It is rough as hell at times to find that time to be able to sit back and go, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this. I'm just going to be creative.
Yeah, I think as well. Like, I mean, you know, we're both parents. Like, after waking up, parenting for all the hours before work, working the whole day, parenting all the hours until 8 and 9 p.m. at night, and you're like, right, I've suddenly got free time for the first time today. Your brain's absolutely trolleyed. It's just smashed beyond oblivion. It can't do anything. I can't speak for your experience, but like being creative in that 1 hour or 1 hour and a half that I'm awake for in the afternoon after my, you know, responsibilities are done can be challenging sometimes, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last thing you want to do is start something. You just want to do something that involves your brain getting a rest and a hot bath.
Yes, watching telly or playing games or wasting's the wrong word. Using my time a different way, an easier way.
I know that as hard as it gets, I find that if I don't do something a couple of nights during the week, I do end up with a very, we'll say bad brain is probably the best way of putting it. You know, start getting quite low and I haven't achieved anything with any of the projects I've got in my head.
I can 100% relate to that. I completely relate to that. Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm going to run. I'm going to run another. I'm going to run a Necropolis event in January 18th. Mm-hmm. So I'm just planning out at the moment as well. That's why I was thinking about you talking about running like big full narratives. One of my friends, Zombie Stu, ran a Necropolis event the other day, and it was just absolutely incredible. The narrative was fantastic. All the different cards and stuff was so cool, and I really want to. That's where I've been trying to spend my kind of like mental strength. Is trying to emulate some of the beauty that man put out. I think I might just get him. I think that's the move.
Absolutely. If you know somebody who has those skills, then yeah, get them involved. Absolutely.
I'm not putting you on the spot like that. Say yes to me now. Come play if you want.
If I could get any time to travel, I would love to.
I know it is. I'm hoping for, because I booked a 15th century church in the middle of Oxfordshire.
Oh, yeah.
To play in, which we've done a couple of times. But hopefully it snows, not enough to stop people's cars, but enough to make it atmospheric. It'd be nice. Go around scattering fake snow on all the terrain. Really make it atmospheric.
Then you just get people outside taking photos of the miniatures in the snow, which
I'm
not saying I've done that, but it's always good fun to do that.
this place, like this church that I rented a couple of times, really nice, lovely people. I booked it as a board game event because I didn't want to explain what we were doing. But the church warden did definitely walk in both events that I've run there and been like, what are these guys doing? Looking at it as like, who are these people? But, yeah, we left it clean. We left it nice. Like,
can't really complain about it then.
No, they're cool. They're really nice. We're very lucky to be able to rent that space out. Like, they don't know me from Adam, but it's nice to have that church with a full kitchen and bathroom set up while also being pretty on brand for the game is perfect.
The one problem I've got with where I live is it's a hell of a journey to get to anywhere else in the country.
Mm.
You know, I'm going to travel south for 3 hours before I hit anything resembling like what most people classify as being north. You know.
Yeah.
Manchester is 3 hours south from me. So it's
that's mad, isn't it? Because I'm from northeast Lincolnshire originally, and down here in Oxfordshire, people call me Northern. I'm not sure that means what you think it means. Like, I am compared to you. But, you know, real Northerners don't think I'm Lincolnshire's North. No, it's not. It's Midlands.
It's one of those things where about 15, 16 years ago, I had the chance to move into the Midlands. I wish I'd taken it. I do wish I'd taken it, just because there's so much stuff goes on around the Midlands that would be so much easier to get to.
Yeah, I mean, it's about 2 hours to Nottingham from here. But yeah, I was trying to convince my my then girlfriend, now wife, to move to Nottingham when we first got together. I mean, not explicitly for that, because I've got some friends from university there, but just, if I was living in the Lead Belt, it'd be easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Me and my brother drove up to Nottingham for Bring Out Your Lead 2 years ago. That was like a good 6 hours of driving.
You going this year?
We're going to hopefully go this year. Just because me and my brother get on really, really well, and we don't get enough chance to just hang out.
Yeah.
As we used to. Obviously, growing up and getting older and being all adulty and stuff. So any chance that we do have to go and do something, we're hit it with both hands. And you go, yep, we're doing that.
Yeah, maybe I should try. I can rally some support here for people to go with me, so I won't feel awkward.
Honestly, I think if you turned up, had a table, and then ran some games on the table, people would be very much interested.
I mean, that would be super cool, but I just want to go and look at other people's stuff. Is that crazy? It's a funny one, isn't it? Back when we first started this, gone.
So we took a load of money to do this, and we didn't play anything. We just spent the entire time just talking to people and looking around at everything. It was like, I wish we played some games. But on the other hand, if we'd done that, we wouldn't have talked to all these different people and had such a great time.
Yeah. Maybe I should go. Maybe I should sort it out. I'll try and get a ticket. I'm kind of worried that, because I feel like it was on YouTube a lot. It was on YouTube a lot last year, wasn't it? I wonder if it's going to kind of balloon in size.
For what I understand, this year's it had more people, but it still wasn't ridiculous. I'd say there's probably about 200 people there, which sounds like a lot, but it's 200 people spread over quite a large footprint of an area, Because, although I think they will have moved by this year, so I don't know what they're doing. Look into that.
Yeah, it's August, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess I need to put out a series of lead minis to be legit. I'd love to do
Not
this.
necessarily.
Love to do that.
There was somebody there who had a completely 3D printed Troll Slayer army.
No way.
Yeah. It was glorious. It was, we were playing Hero Hammer rules. So we were looking at it, and then I caught out the corner of my eye that they were using an actual Hero Hammer rulebook, like a physical Hero Hammer rulebook. It was just, that's beautiful. That's gorgeous.
Oh, maybe I'll try and get down. If I can rally some of my local mates to kind of give me moral support, I'll try and do it. I do need to do more things like that and get out into the world. We've got, got a table at Salute for April.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? So me and Blightbones, are going down, and we're going to share a single. How big are the tables? 6 foot by 2 foot, or whatever they are. We're going to sit there on a single table and I don't know, try and sell whatever we've made at that point. Which I like a lot. He's got fantastic stuff. But it'll be cool, it'll be nice just to be there, I think. And there's guys are putting on some fringe events as well. Kind of Salute Fringe. Well, you can't call it Salute Fringe, but running games on Fridays and Sundays and maybe Saturday night in the pub, kind of around it. Shout out to those guys. They've got a Discord server. I'm just shouting out all my friends.
Salute 52 will be held on Saturday, the 12th of April, 2025. Okay. That might actually be doable. I might try and get myself to Salute. It's something I've always wanted to get to. And because it's in London, I kind of always let it pass.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Yeah, it's very easy for me, obviously, living in the south. It's really cool. The other year, I've been with, obviously, go with the same bunch of guys, and ended up in the pub afterwards. We had a little, 28 community meet up at lunchtime, and then we arranged a pub at the end of the day, and there were like 30 people all talking about weird minis. People were playing mini tonks with on a tiny little table. It was so nice. It was really glorious. Like, so many T-shirts that looked like they were black metal bands, but they were actually like hobby podcasts as well. That seemed to be the uniform.
I was thinking that might be the perfect way for me to finally drop my 15mm Hero Quest on people.
There you go. Perfect. Oh, I'll play that.
I made a travel Hero Quest. Yeah, I use my 3D printer responsibly. I made.
Well, there's something to do on your 8-hour train journey, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, desperately need to because
finish Lair of the Lich Lord on the way.
But of course, as long as it's proper Hero Quest, not this new Hasbro Hero Quest.
Yeah, I've played it. It's the same thing, isn't it? Just different. Different means they've got. What have they got? They've got something instead of Thamir, haven't they? What is it?
The abominations. Yeah, Fisherman.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's the weird thing that going back to that, like GW own that monster. It's one of the few monsters they own. Like, why not? Yeah. Listen to us, Gino. Give us the one-eyed Clubdale boys, please.
The Thamir are a weird one for me because I don't understand why they've not done more with it. Because the Thamir exist because Ansel wanted a Warhammer creation that would be their version of the Beholder from D&D. That's the idea. Yeah, they wanted a monster that was quintessentially Warhammer. And then they screwed up the release and they've just refused to go back to it. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's up until like this year, I was always angry that the three things they never did anything with were the Skaven, the Thamir, and the Chaos Dwarfs.
I mean, got a Chaos Dwarf Blood Bowl team just out.
Yep, and they are great, and I love them to bits.
And the new Skaven are wonderful. I mean, the old Skaven are wonderful. To be fair, all Skaven are wonderful.
Agreed. My rat boys are my rat boys. They are my first and foremost love of the hobby.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've got a White Dwarf somewhere that has a kind of run through of an advanced Hero Quest Skaven adventure. They're red.
Lad.
Yeah, like from cover to cover, like as an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old, like constantly while on holiday, and that kind of like Skaven art is like burned into my skull as well. I can't remember who did it.
Oh, hang on, who would that have been? I'd have to go back and look at that issue. I do have it saved in my archive, but
you know the one I mean, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Speaking, I have played that.
Have you?
Zero Quest. Something else that I really goddamn wish I'd managed to keep hold of. Managed to keep hold of original Hero Quest and Advanced Quest, but never managed to keep hold of Advanced Hero Quest.
I've never played it actually, so I feel like I'm missing out on that.
It's one of those things. That and Mighty Warriors, the cut down Hero Quest that they sold through Woolworths, they're just beautiful. They're just.
I never played that either, but you just set off a bit of a memory for me.
The Woolworths Games Workshop stuff.
Yeah.
Mighty Empires, Space Fleet, Crunch, and there was a 40k one using the Advanced Space Crusade stuff, and I can't think of what that was called.
So I'm on the internet right now, mid-podcast, looking at the box. That's how sad I am. I'm sorry, everybody. Right, okay. I don't know. Yeah.
This is ingrained so much into my brain, I had to write like 4 articles on them years ago, because I feel it's important for people to realise that Woolworths stocked Games Workshop stuff at one point.
Yeah, that is. I'll need to look through your archive and find out about.
I'll easily find them again. But I'll do it afterwards, because if I do it now, something will happen and it'll break.
Yeah, don't worry. The weird recording bot we've got going on there, it'll destroy us. It'll be terrible.
Craig, I think, is the beginnings of the end of the world. All shall eventually have to bow to Craig.
It's got a name, has it? Oh god, it is Craig.
Yeah.
He's listening.
It's just like a little bear about to put a ball again, and I don't like it. Really don't like it. Long-term listeners to the show know that I despise Craig with every fibre of my being. Anything I would use, I would.
During the preamble, you really talked him down before you brought him in as well.
Hatred, absolute hatred. Oh man, I think what was I going to say? That yes, it went out my head as soon as it came in. Then I think it's fascinating to me looking at the history of these things and archiving it, because Games Workshop is not a normal company. They don't do normal things. Right now is probably the most normal it's been as a company ever in its lifetime. It's always been a rough around the edges, trying to swing a lot harder than the bat its guts allowed it to. For good and for bad. I think in the late 80s and into the 90s, it served them very, very well. I think in the 2000s, it served them very poorly, because the world kind of moved on. And it wasn't until the late 2010s before they kind of found their foot again, and kind of went, right, this is what we need to be doing. We need to be acting more like this kind of company than the one that we've been. I mean, all the way through the 2000s into the 2010s, they were basically acting like Hasbro, which is not a good thing. You go back into the 80s and early 90s, and they are throwing everything at a wall, trying to get anything to stick. And if it sticks, it stayed. It didn't stick, it went away.
Definitely.
It's fascinating to me. It's legitimately fascinating to me. Like Gorkamorka. Everyone remembers Gorkamorka. Everyone's got this massive memory of Gorkamorka being this huge, great big game that was there for ages. But it was on the shelves for 6 months.
What was it?
Yeah.
Don't mess with my memory in my own life. No.
I'm serious. Gorkamorka died a very fast death.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it really vividly. I think I only played it once to friends' house.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people played it. A lot of people loved it. But for whatever reason, well, I know what the reasons are. It was because of the way the game worked. Once you bought the game, you didn't need to buy anything else. If you bought the expansion, you get the expansions. But you didn't really need anything else. And as a result, it didn't bring that much money in. And the loss leader that box set was meant that it was losing money.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense when you explain it like that. I mean, is that what happened to like Mordheim and stuff like that? I feel like that was around for a long time. Are you going to tell me that was around in 2 minutes?
Well, Mordheim was around for about 3 years. It's,
okay, that's better then. I guess you got all the higher swords and stuff, right?
Yeah. I always find it weird that Mordheim never got a second edition, because it was around long enough to get a second edition.
Yeah, just good point.
For whatever reason, it just didn't. And
it was all the Town Criers and Empire in Flames and all that, wasn't there? Yeah,
absolutely. Those Town Criers did so much, bringing it, like keeping it life going, adding so much to it.
It was so good, and the kind of fake front covers with all the little funny kind of posters on them and stuff. It's so good. So good.
I do have a mad idea at some point of getting all my Town Criers scanned and then turning them into a big book and getting it published, just so I've got this giant Town Crier book I can leaf through.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I want to play more. I always want to play. I want to play them.
It's like, there shouldn't be an hour of the day where you don't want to play Mordheim. Mordheim is just great.
God, that book as well. I think this is part of why I'm just so keen to get more art. It's like that Mordheim book was dripping. It was just dripping with unique art every single page. Gorgeous. It was really kind of like, really kind of weird and consistent still. And I don't know, it's bonkers.
But it built a world. Without reading it, you knew what the world was. You felt the atmosphere of the world, you got the environment, you got the setting, and it's purely down to how visually creative it was. I mean, the fact that there's fish everywhere is just such a wonderful little idea.
Isn't it? Yeah, they mention it on the back of the book as well. I think it's like, no fish were harmed in the making of this thing or whatever. Yeah, I think they're meant to represent the human soul, I think. Am I misremembering that? Someone's going to come at me. I feel like they're meant to represent the human soul in the artwork.
it's just a cool idea using a fish because the fish has the history with the Christianity and the Romans, the sign of the fish. But a lot of cultures use a fish as an important symbol in fertility or in life and rebirth and all these type of things. And so just using it in this cod European grim setting works beautifully without it connecting to all these things properly. But because we learn this stuff through osmosis, it gives you the feeling of it, and it's smart, it's clever.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's my TED talk about the fish in more time.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it, man. I'll listen to you break down every single page of that goddamn book. It's genius.
Page 1.
Just go on the horse. Who's the child? Who's the kind of Oh my god.
There's like all these podcasts out there that do like film series. It's a scene at a time or 10 minutes at a time. And now we've got to do a more time that's just a page of the more time rulebook at a time.
I'd listen to that. Like I say, I work from home. I listen to some. You ever seen some video games? Have you ever seen Action Button reviews?
I've heard of it, but not what.
Guy does like a 6-hour review of Doom, and it's fucking great. It's really good. I'm so into it. I'd listen to that for war games. I really would.
I think the only person. I was going to say, I think the only person who does anything like that's Jordan Sorcery at this point. He does he does some amazing deep dives.
Yeah, he really does. He really does. He's got some good stuff. Yeah, I met him at Mates and Minutes in Nottingham the other day. Really sound bloke.
I'm pleased to hear he's a good lad.
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't, I wouldn't have said, but he definitely was a lovely guy. He was a lovely guy. That was a wonderful event. And Matt from Knucklebones, and Curtis, all that ran it. It was just a really lovely day. There was a huge kit bash table in the middle of the thing. Everybody was just making wild stuff all day, and I don't know, it was really nice.
It's funnily enough, the main reason I'm annoyed that there was no Warhammer Fest booked for this last year, at this point looking like there's going to be one next year either, is because the one that we went to 2 years ago, me and my mate Darren sat in the hobby building workshop thing, and a cathedral out of pipes with a spiker floating using the metal bit from a plastic glue. So he was stuck in there and floating, and a commissar shooting him. Pinch making it. It took me about 2.5 hours. It's like, cool. How much longer have we got? We've still got another 4 hours. Excellent. I'm going to go get some piping, and I made a titan out of the pipes. He was a pipe boy, and he was, and he did not survive the journey home.
Yeah, I bet he didn't. How big was he? Was he 1-to-1, was it?
He was fairly bloody big. I'll give you that much. I put it on the table, and the judge just went, "I have to reconsider my life choices."
I don't know how you build stuff so fast. Like when I look at a pile of bits, I spend 2 hours thinking about it.
It's just how my brain's built. I will just start sticking things together and seeing how the shape plays.
That's an absolute superpower. I envy you there. Great.
I think it's just ADHD, to be honest with you, man. It's my ADHD just goes boom, time to build.
I'm just frozen. That's what I get. And
I think I could quite happily do with a couple of days of just going, I don't know what to do. And then I might feel a bit calmer about things. Who knows? We'll start drawing things to a close, even though I could very happily keep chatting for another 3 hours.
I'm game, but it's past my bedtime already.
Yeah, it's getting close to mine. So little boy will be wanting to be up in the morning getting ready for school. No. How dare he? Should be able to get himself dressed. But where can people find you if they so wish to hunt you down?
Oh gosh. Yeah, good point. I should have prepared this, shouldn't I? Not a businessman. Probably the Discord is the place where I'm most active, because I have it on the background of my work computer all day. Just the Necropolis Discord. I guess where you could find a link would probably be on my Instagram, which is Owl Shield. And there's a reference to the Mordheim rulebook. Find it in there. It's a bit of a picture. That's probably the best place to find me, really. That's all that really matters. There is a Patreon, but that doesn't matter. You know, like I say, it's happening anyway. So, Discord, Instagram, say hi. Everyone's really
Go
nice.
drop a quid into the man's Discord. Not Discord. Go drop a quid into the man's Patreon. It's worth it.
Yeah, or just, you know, you could join for £4, take all the model STLs and instantly cancel it. That's also okay. Crack on. Like, just come hang out, man. Skeletons are cool.
Yeah, skeletons are cool. And now I'm going to have to create a wrestling skeleton crew, and I just want you to know that that's your fault.
Just luchadors. I'm gonna vote for luchadors. Do that. Like each individual coloured mask and amazing spandex trousers. Do those.
Oh no. There's something about the idea of having a very dead Hulk Hogan that amuses me greatly. Weirdly long arms, very unsettlingly long arms.
Terrible green stuff mustache. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Every time you move him, you can say brother. That'll be an
Yeah. Everybody becomes brother. Yeah.
Yeah, do that. Yeah, but Instagram and Discord, really. Like I say, there's a Patreon, but like everything's on the Owl Show, really. Or just I think Necropolis28 hashtag on Instagram. You can find cool skeletons. I don't know. I sound not enthused about it. I am enthused. It's just awkward shilling your own stuff, you know.
One of the hardest bloody things in the world to do is to get your stuff out there. It's so hard. It's something I struggle with. The amount of times I've mentioned our Patreon on the show in 140 something episodes is probably less than 10, because I feel grimy. I feel I don't know. I always feel weird shilling. It always makes me feel very uncomfortable. So I get you. Don't worry.
Yeah, is that a cultural thing? It probably is, isn't it? I feel like it's a good one though.
Yeah, I think it's a sign of not having a big enough ego, which is probably a good thing. You know, there are people out there who can do this stuff and they can do it really well, and they can feel to the heart's content. It's not me.
Exclusive content today. Yeah.
It's not my type of work. I prefer. I think if I was in a perfect world, my recording studio would be a thatched cottage somewhere with an open fire.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
And just talking to people, sitting on nice chairs and just having lovely little conversations. That would be my perfect recording.
Oh, being in the same room as well. Yeah, crackle of the fire in the background. You could sell it. People fall asleep to that. That'd be nice.
That'd be absolutely beautiful. I think that'd be the perfect way for my personality to work in a podcast. He says,
you ever set it up? Have me on. I'll come. It'd be great.
Once I won the lottery and I've bought a house. Well, I bought two houses, one to live in, one to be my recording studio. Yeah, I'll just start inviting people down. Oh, get your train ticket. I've won the lottery. It's all good.
Oh, amazing. Don't tease me with that.
So with all that being said, we're going to get out of here. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you, Peter, for joining me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Life is wasted on the living.